The life of a second-string college football quarterback is complicated. You never know when or if you're going to play, but you do need to be ready just in case. Winona State University junior John Rumpza knows about those complications and more, as we'll find out in a moment. But his story starts when he was a starter back at Blooming Prairie High School. Rumpza tells us what the best part of playing for Blooming Prairie was.
Being an awesome blossom itself. There's nothing better than being an awesome blossom for a mascot. But no, honestly, I love the small town feel. Growing up in a close community like that, I think it really catered to me well. A lot of my teachers and administrators there, I'm still really close with. Coaches, so yeah, I got a lot of positive experiences from there.
Well, what John first of all excited us about was his big arm. Over in Blooming Prairie, he had a tremendous high school career there, and he was fantastic. Was leading the state and threw for thousands of yards, and that was the biggest attraction. And then once we met him, we knew we even had a better kid. So with those two ingredients, we knew we had the right kid coming in.
Well, I think when we started the process, the first thing that jumps out at you is the numbers. The statistics were off the charts, and I think he threw 112 touchdowns or something like that, which I think tied the Minnesota State record at the time. And those are things that you just don't see very often. And then the more we dug into it, the size, with us being a pocket style team, he fits that perfectly because he's taller, he's more of a pocket passer, so that fit. And then a couple times to go watch him play basketball, get a chance to meet the family and spend some time with him. I usually had my kids with me, and just to watch him interact with them, the more you got into the process, the more you realized that he was going to be the perfect fit for us.
So I grew up in a small town in southeast Minnesota. So for basketball, I played Blooming Prairie every year one time. So me and John actually played basketball against each other a few seasons. Before we played each other our senior year, we both were already signed to come here. So during that game, that's when I first realized that we were going to be on a team together later. We didn't talk about it much. In high school, we weren't really super tight, so it was kind of more a rival basis. Freshman year, when we got assigned our roommates, we were neighbors in the dorms, so we were 20 feet apart at all times, and he got pretty close with my roommate freshman year, and then from that we all kind of got super tight. Not our freshman year, redshirt freshman year, but our sophomore year we actually all moved in together, so we're all roommates now.
A normal college experience for John Rumpza would end in October of 2017.
I found a lump on my right testicle. Yeah, so I went in and figured I should probably get it checked out in October. And then from there, they didn't really think it was anything, and I didn't really think it was anything at the time either. Turned out that I got a couple of ultrasounds, followed up with it, and it turned out being a tumor. So then scheduled an appointment in January to remove the tumor, remove the testicle, and from there it was kind of a recovery stage, and then later we decided to go for the chemo route, not because there was still cancer inside of me, but because it was more likely to reoccur if we didn't go that route. And here we are.
Well, I think John kind of kept a lot of that stuff to himself about the whole process, and it wasn't until after the fact that he had told me that he had just went to the doctor. They found a cyst, and that they were going to remove it. And so that was, I think he talked to me and he talked to Coach Sawyer, and then I think a few days later was when we went in and he had the surgery done, and so it was a pretty quick process. I think some of it was timing with the Christmas vacation and all the different breaks that we had, and just the way that it played out. That I don't think he was really able to talk to us about it up until after we got back from Christmas break. But yeah, I'll never forget that conversation.
Well, I put my head in my hands on my desk and shed a couple tears, because you hate to see that with a 20-year-old boy or young man that all of a sudden is told he's got cancer. it just floored me. And so right away you go to work and find to do anything you possibly can to help him through it, from the coaching perspective and as a parent and a grandparent. Just dig in with the family and say we're here with you.
Honestly, it was easy to tell my really close friends. I knew they'd understand. I knew they'd be supportive. As far as the entire team, I didn't even tell the entire team until later in the spring. I guess I'm not the kind of person to go and broadcast all about myself. So that didn't really feel right for me to go and just tell everybody right away. But for my close friends, my close group of people, it was really easy to tell them because I knew that they were going to be there and be supportive for me in a time of need.
Well, the thing is with John, when he told us the news, it was like he didn't take it in a bad way. Like some people he could have been down on it for a while. You know, you could have been down and out and not really been into it as much. But when he told us that, he stayed positive the whole time, which made it easier on us because we were just there to support him the whole time through. So him keeping a positive attitude about it really benefited him in the long run because he never thought about not coming back, I don't think. He was always ready to come back whenever they allowed him to. So that part was pretty easy because he was determined to come back. It was just a matter of time.
The treatment process actually wasn't too bad. There was 1 week, so it was spring break, and that was the week that I had my 1 full week of chemo. So I had to go to lacrosse every day that week during spring break. And then I had there was three separate treatments aside from that week of straight treatment. So that week and kind of the couple weeks after were probably the worst that I was feeling. And then the whole process kind of got done. I finished my last treatment, and then I kind of got through. I was like, oh, sweet, didn't lose my hair. And then I lost all my hair. So that was just the way it was. But it honestly wasn't that bad. I mean, I care about how I look, but I wasn't super mad about it, I guess. It was kind of fun for a little bit too, to being bald, but got to see that side of it. Glad to have it back though.
It was very emotional. I remember the first meeting when he was sitting in the room, and he had a cap on, and because he was losing his hair and all those things, and I mean it was really emotional when he walked back on the practice field. I mean everybody clapped. It was exciting. Guys were jumping around on him, and you could see the tears in his eyes just for the elation that he had coming back to our team. But for us, that was powerful. It gave this team strength, and I'm very, very grateful to see him back out on the field.
I think when we go through the recruiting process, part of the thing that we really look for is the type of kid that we're bringing in, and we want kids that want to fight. I go back 5 or 6 years when we had Ben Reinhardt's tear his ACL, and they told him 9 to 12 months, and he was back in 6 months. Corey King with his Achilles. These guys, they are so much stronger mentally than people will give them credit for. And when they decide that they're going to do something, they're going to do it. And the fact that he was back practicing, although everybody celebrated it, it was not surprising at all to me. Just having been around him for the last 3 years and the type of competitor he is and the fire that he has, it wasn't surprising to me at all that he came back that fast.
I actually didn't plan on missing any school, but I think I had my treatment on that following Monday after spring break, and then I came to class and it didn't go so well, so I ended up going back home that week after spring break also, so I spent that week home. But then I came back to school. I was pretty much full swing in school after that. Took it a little easier on football during that time where I was trying to adjust back into school a little bit. Missed some lifting, some off-season stuff, things like that. But once I started feeling physically like I was able to get back into football things, I feel like I was able to jump in pretty much right away, honestly, as soon as I started feeling well. And then I wasn't cleared until 5 practices into the spring, and I didn't really think that they were going to clear me, honestly. But I just went for a follow-up appointment one day, and he was like, yeah, I mean, everything's feeling good, you're good to go. So I just went to the doctor one day, and they were like, yeah, go ahead and practice. So I ended up just jumping into practice in the 5th day of spring ball without really having any of an off season, which was kind of weird, but it ended up being fine.
And just to get him back out there during spring ball, I think, was probably more of a mental victory for him than anything. You know, I'll never forget the first pass he threw when he came back in after that. And, you know, the results don't matter. Just the fact that he was back out there playing again was something that was, you know, pretty special for him. And I think it also kind of marked the turning point for him, that he knew he had beaten cancer and he was going to move forward and do nothing but great things for us. So we were excited just to have him back, but then to watch the progress that he had over the summer, and he came in the best shape of his football career so far and was playing at the highest level that he's played at. And we're just excited to have him back full strength.
The moment that Rumpza had thought about for months finally happened almost a year after his cancer was discovered. On October 6th, at the Warrior homecoming game against Mary, he got the call to go in the third quarter.
It was just one of those culminations of all that stress and pressure just kind of came off everybody's shoulders, and you want him to do so well, and he came out and he did, and he performed at a high level, and he was jumping around like a 2-year-old, man. It was awesome, and that's what we wanted to see, and we all felt the same thing. It was like a relief of pressure, and so thankful that he was out there and able to do that.
It just feels good to be on the field, honestly. That's number one for me. To be able to do that in front of my family, you know, the people that supported me throughout the entirety of last year, and to have my teammates with me there that day, to be able to celebrate that with me was something really special, and something that would have been really special, you know, for anybody's first touchdown. You know, there were guys on the sideline, guys like Owen Burke, a guy that's playing in front of me, a guy that I'm getting excited for every time he's doing something, and I think he shed a tear that day on the sideline, so that was pretty special to see. Landon Jacobson was out there hobbling on one foot, getting excited for me, getting pumped up, so that was just, it's pretty surreal. It was pretty surreal.
When there's a time to get in and take advantage of your opportunities, he definitely did that. You know, he's been waiting to get in and play for 4 years, you know. We're coming from high school is where you're the star, and then going to college where you gotta wait your turn. It's not as easy as you'd think. But he took the role, and he did a great job with it, and he got in, took advantage of his opportunities, and scored a tutty.
Right afterwards, as he came off, I gave him a hug and told him I was proud of him. And, you know, those are things that, as coaches, you try to pay attention to, you know, not just when he threw his touchdown, but like last week, Darrell Williams got his first touchdown pass. You try to pay attention to those things because it really is a big deal for these guys. The amount of work that they put in, the amount of time and energy that they have to give to the program, when it's their chance to be able to go out and have some success, that's what coaching is all about. And for me, you know, trying to stay on top of that stuff is important. It was probably a little bit more important with John.
It's definitely good to have the feeling of scoring again, first of all. And then when you get to the sideline, you just kind of realize what you do it for, I think. You know, you don't always just do it for yourself. You don't always just do it for the love of the game. Sometimes you do it for the people around you. And I think that moment really reflected that idea.
Well, I think what we've been talking about is, as he continues to play at this high level, you know, right now he knows he's one snap away from being the guy if Owen goes down. But at the same time, he does a nice job of coming to practice every day and pushing Owen and making sure that if, you know, we're not playing to the level that we need to play at that position, that he's ready to step in and play. And like I said, unfortunately, the quarterbacks, there's only one of them that can play at a time. And he knows that, and it doesn't change the way that he comes to work. But I think the steady progress that we've seen over the last couple of years to where he's at right now, you know, regardless of what happens with Owen moving forward, there's not a doubt in my mind that I have one of the better quarterbacks in the league in John Rumpza sitting in my room. And, you know, when his time is called, I know he's going to go out there and do some really good things for us.
Right now, I'm in my 4th year here. Next year will be my redshirt senior year. Just kind of going into it with the same idea that I am every other year: get stronger, faster, better. Set yourself up for to be in the best possible position that you can be, I think.